The Rise and Fall of King Amaziah, a Bible story of pride and consequences. Amaziah was a king who won a big battle with God's help but made a surprising mistake after his victory. He started worshipping the very gods of the enemies he had defeated. Amaziah became king of Judah when he was 25 years old, and he ruled for 29 years in Jerusalem. He was the son of King Joash. Amaziah tried to follow God, but his heart wasn't fully committed. Even so, he made some good choices at the beginning of his reign. One of the first things he did was deal with the people who had killed his father. Instead of seeking revenge on all their families, which was common for kings back then, Amaziah followed God's law. He only punished those who were responsible for his father's death. He didn't harm their children because God's law said, each person will be punished for their own sin. After that, Amaziah turned his attention to Edom, a nation that had been an enemy of Judah for a long time. Amaziah wanted to win back control of Edom, so he prepared for war. He gathered 300,000 soldiers from Judah, but he felt that wasn't enough. So, he hired 100,000 mercenaries from Israel, paying them a large amount of silver. Just as he was ready to go to battle, a man of God, a prophet, came to Amaziah with a message. The prophet warned him, "Don't take the soldiers from Israel with you because God is not with them. If you take them into battle, you will lose." Amaziah was surprised. He had already paid the Israelites. "What about the money I've given them?" he asked. The prophet replied, "God can give you much more than that." Amaziah trusted the prophet's words and sent the hired soldiers back to Israel. But the mercenaries were angry. They had expected to fight and earn their money. On their way home, they raided towns in Judah, destroying as they went. Despite this, Amaziah pressed forward with his army. He led his soldiers to battle in the Valley of Salt, and they won a huge victory against the Edomites. Amaziah's army defeated 10,000 men in battle. Amaziah had successfully conquered the Edomites, and it was a great success for Judah. However, after the victory, Amaziah did something strange. He brought back the idols or statues of the Edomites and started worshipping them. Instead of giving thanks to God, he bowed down to these false gods and even burned incense to them. God saw this and was not happy. So he sent a prophet to Amaziah. The prophet asked, "Why are you worshipping the gods of the people you just defeated? These gods couldn't help the Edomites. Why would you think they can help you?" Amaziah didn't like being corrected. His pride had grown after his victory. He angrily replied to the prophet, "Who made you my advisor? Stop talking or you'll be in trouble." The prophet stopped speaking but left Amaziah with a warning. God is going to bring judgment on you because you have turned away from him and refused to listen to his advice. Instead of turning back to God, Amaziah made another bad decision. He sent a message to Jehoash, the king of Israel, challenging him to a battle. King Jehoash responded with a warning. He told a story to Amaziah. A small plant sent a message to a tall tree saying, "Give your daughter to my son in marriage." But then a wild animal passed by and stepped on the small plant, crushing it. This was Jehoash's way of saying that Amaziah was too small and weak to fight Israel, and he was heading for disaster. Jehoash warned him to stay home and avoid bringing trouble to himself and his people. But Amaziah's pride had taken over and he didn't listen. The two armies met in battle at Beth Shemesh, and just as Jehoash had predicted, Amaziah's forces were completely defeated. Amaziah was captured, and Jehoash's army marched to Jerusalem. They tore down part of the city wall and took treasures from the temple and the royal palace before returning to Israel with hostages. Although Amaziah was released and returned to his kingdom, his people eventually turned against him. His heart had drifted far from God, and his leadership suffered. The people in Judah plotted against him, and Amaziah fled to the town of Lachish. But even there they found him, and Amaziah's life came to a sad end. He was brought back to Jerusalem and buried with his ancestors.